The comments and statements made within the show are the opinions of the commentators and their guests, have not been evaluated by the FDA, and are in no way attempt to diagnose, treat, mitigate, cure, or prevent any disease or illness. The contents of the show are not to be construed as medical advice. If you have a health condition or health concern, please contact a licensed, qualified healthcare practitioner.
Oh my, what have you found, Franny? Let's see what they say. Latest and greatest. You found more. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Excellent sleuthing, Fran. Fran, I think this is a new case for the Supplement Super Sleuth. Dig, Franny, dig! Time to go down the rabbit hole and see what we can find. Goodness, where are we? Aha! Take a look at this. Hi, everyone. Supplement Super Sleuth here. Yeah, hope you're having a really nice summer. Summer has begun, thank God, right? Oh yeah. I certainly am trying to carve out time to be out in the beautiful weather. And New England, it's weird. We get a couple of days a year that are perfect. And then, summer's muggy and hot. It's great. You can be outside, but the humidity is brutal. Anyway, yeah, it's so great to have such good weather to look forward to and be outside and be in my garden and be with my plants, etc., etc. So I hope you're all planning some fun. Maybe some trips, maybe the beach. Gotta go, right? Or maybe up into the mountains, get a hike in. Oh yeah, we really love that. So everyone, here we are, episode 36. I'll be doing this podcast twice a month, sharing perspectives of natural health and healing, and occasionally interviewing key people and thought leaders in the natural healing industry to hear their knowledgeable perspectives. It's always good to have more insight than what I can offer, more brains on the subject matter. I have 4 different segments to the show. Naturals in the News, where I share general info on brand new research posted on all types of health subjects. My favorite things, where I spotlight an herb or nutraceutical or a superfood with brand new research. And I do a deep dive into the history, clinical research, and clinical use of that spotlighted subject. Naturals in the Know, where I interview key thought leaders and successful holistic practitioners from a wide variety of disciplines. And finally, our newest segment, entitled What's Old is New Again, where I share historical information on the weird and lost healing therapies of old that may be having a renaissance or may not. Maybe it's just some historical oddity, but I trip on those often, and I'm going to start sharing those probably in episode 37 or 38. So with that said, let's begin our naturals in the news. So I saw this headline, and turmeric is, it's really interesting to me because turmeric is one herb out of thousands of herbs, but it's what we call a culinary herb. It's also known as a tonic herb. Although it's rather warming. A lot of people don't know that about turmeric, or one of the components of turmeric, which is curcumin. That it's a pretty warm herb. In fact, it can create a lot of heat. Sometimes when you take turmeric, you can feel the burn, right? Feel the burn. It's just same with ginger, right? They're really warming. And but turmeric has thousands of years of use and has now accumulated decades of scientific research. And the more we look at it, the more we like it. It's not for everyone all the time, but I do want to share this headline. Turmeric may improve post-exercise recovery in elite athletes, this study suggests. This was published in Nutra Ingredients Europe by Olivia Brown, May 30th, 2023. There's a new study. The study notes show that the consumption of turmeric as a supplement um, can help with leg, hip, foot recovery, and it can reduce inflammations, markers of inflammation. So, um, the double blind placebo crossed over athletic study showed this decrease in several inflammatory markers, and it really resulted in improved uh, recovery time. So, and they did lower body exercises, which are the bigger muscles in the study, and they measured leg and whole body soreness subjectively and objectively. They took blood and looked at inflammatory markers. And so turmeric at 200 milligrams 3 times a day had a remarkable uh, result, if you will. So, if you're older and you're experiencing a lot of dryness, hair dryness, skin dryness, eye dryness, just general dryness everywhere, you may want to think of a different herb. But when you're young and your body has a lot of moisture, turmeric can be a boon. Historically, turmeric was mixed with ghee or with milk, called golden milk, or with other types of foods that had a lot of oils in them to combat the drying nature of turmeric. So if you're just taking turmeric alone and you're older, you may notice that your skin and hair and eyes and mouth might be a little drier. Nose sometimes will get drier too. So, mixing it with oil, olive oil is a great thing to do. That'll keep the moisture in. So, we love turmeric. Turmeric is a spice, it's a food spice. You can add it to your food, it's just as medicinal that way. But if you really want to go for gusto and you really want to reduce your inflammation after a really hard workout, turmeric is a really safe way to do that. And it doesn't cause GI distress like some of your other over the counter anti inflammatories do. Okay, great. Next headline. New study says that 70% of type 2 diabetes cases are linked to food choices. So this was published in Science Tech Daily, May 6, 2023. And Tufts University did a study that found that 70% of the people in the United States who developed type 2 diabetes, that was linked to poor diet choices, including high intake of processed meats. So that's like deli meats, bacon, sausages, that kind of thing. Sugar sweetened beverages such as sodas, and sometimes not even sodas, but even very sugary drinks that you get at Starbucks, or I don't mean to single them out, but there's an enormous amount of high fructose corn syrup in a lot of their mixed drinks, and you have to be careful. So, along with all of that, low intake of fruits, vegetables, and even whole grains. So, a lot of people think that cereal is whole grain, and it's not. Whole grain would be whole grain, meaning like whole oatmeal or whole wheat berry if you don't have sensitivity or celiac disease, or whole millet or whole quinoa. Those are whole grains. Cooked whole grains are very nutritious, but a lot of the cereals and processed grains are just pretty much converted to sugar. So it's really difficult. I know I see a lot of people who really, really struggle with this, but the research was very well done. 14.1 million cases of type 2 diabetes. Um, in over 184 countries in 2018. I was listening to NPR the other day, and they basically said that there's over, in India alone, in the continent of India alone, there's over 200 million people with type 2 diabetes. And it's it's such a problem in India right now that public health officials are trying to figure things out. So the study that was published in April in Nature Medicine offered valuable insights into the dietary factors that are responsible for the burden of type 2 diabetes. I think if you're pre-diabetic, work as hard as you can to manage your issues with your food choices. The first thing to do is remove everything in your house that's processed. Just get it out of the house. Don't keep it in the house. It's too hard to walk by it, several times a day and then, not eat it. So, breads, muffins, bagels, even processed cereals, bad idea to keep in the house. And then when you shop, make sure you shop for whole quality foods. In the study, they said 11 dietary factors considered, three had outside contribution to global incidence of type 2 diabetes. So, insufficient intake of whole grains like oatmeal, like quinoa, like um, wheat berries, like millet, like whole brown rice. Um, Excess or refined rice and wheat, like bread and wraps, and the overconsumption of processed meats, such as bacon, sausage, deli meat, like deli turkey meat, deli ham, those things, those are really going to push you over the edge. Factors such as drinking too much fruit juice and not eating enough non starchy vegetables, such as, um, arugula and spinach and chard and kale, and not eating enough nuts or seeds, such as pumpkin seeds and safflower seeds, and um, if you're not allergic, almonds, right? Had people who um, didn't take enough of these foods had, excuse me, who did take enough of these foods had less of an impact on new cases of diabetes. So the study said that poor carbohydrate quality is a leading driver of diet attributable type 2 diabetes globally, and with important variation by nation and over time. These new findings reveal critical areas for national and global focus to improve nutrition and reduce devastating burdens of diabetes. So, um, it's not just an American issue; it is a global issue. And the regions that where diet had less of an impact on type 2 diabetes, South Asia, Sub-Sahara Africa, were the largest increases in type 2 diabetes due to poor diet between 1990 and 2018. Of the 30 most populated countries studied, India, Nigeria, and Ethiopia had the fewest cases of type 2 diabetes related to unhealthy eating. So, so the type of issues that are going on in India with their 200 million as of the end of last year, there's something else going on. Although they eat a lot of rice in that culture, and they don't typically eat a lot of animal protein. There's a lot of vegetarians in India, so there's something else going on. But recent studies have estimated that 40% of type 2 diabetes cases globally are attributed to suboptimal diet, lower than 70% reported in Nature Medicine paper. The research team attributes this to new information in their analysis. So they're really finding that, look, do your best with your food. Don't eat empty calories. If you're going to eat and if you're active and you need the caloric intake, try and eat foods that are rich in nutrition. But it's very difficult for a lot of people because there's just so many. I mean, everywhere you go. And there's a lot on in the media, like when you just if you're opening Google, there'll be images of food everywhere. So there's a lot of that, um, you know, uh, subliminal kind of media that stimulates this this excuse me concept of overeating, and making bad food choices. Okay, another headline. There's a randomized clinical trial on garlic and onion extract that reduces the risk of respiratory disease in the elderly. So this was published in Nutra Ingredients in Europe, May 15, 2023. A randomized controlled trial found that regular consumption of onions and garlics, especially as an extract, can reduce the risk of respiratory diseases in the elderly. So before I say this, before I go through this, and it is interesting. Um, I have to laugh because there's an old herbal, I'll say, kind of home remedy where during the cold and flu season, you peel an onion and you put it in a dish and you leave it in either the bedroom or the kitchen or both. Yeah, it smells funny, but one of the things that the old herbal kind of tale says about onion is that it can very much protect you from high exposure, and it gives off, if you will, chemistries that can disarm viruses in the air. So it's a funny thing for me to be seeing so much research on onion and garlic. Again, it's a superfood. It's a spice herb. These are spice herbs. Garlic is very, very hot. They're both pretty spicy, but there's always been this kind of saying that garlic and onions protect you from bad things. Yes, I find that when in the wintertime when I open a garlic and I put it or open an onion and leave it open in the kitchen dining room area, it smells a little funny, but it cleans the air. So this particular RCT um, was from the University of Granada in Spain. It was the first controlled randomized double-blinded study conducted with a mixture of concentrated garlic and onion extract. And it demonstrated the protective effect on respiratory diseases in the elderly in residential care facilities. So residents living in residential care facilities are at a higher risk of pneumonia, influenza, and um, SARS-CoV-2 and acute respiratory syndrome from SARS-CoV-2. Although vaccination against these pathogens in that population is widespread, outbreaks persist, resulting in morbidity and mortality. Moreover, once infected, residents are more likely to develop complications such as lower respiratory tract illness like pneumonia, and they often have to transfer to the hospital and they often don't make it. There's an urgent need to develop preventative therapeutic strategies that reduce the incidence and or the severity of respiratory infections. And the authors of the new study added that different plant-based natural herbal formulations and related compounds could be of high value. So they really looked at this and put onions and garlic to the test. In previous in vitro studies reported that the supplementation of the formula included concentrated garlic and onions shows broad spectrum antimicrobial activity against multi-drug resistant bacteria isolated from human samples. And it also was effective against um, pig reproductive and respiratory system virus, which is called PRRS. Um, and so, even without a human immune system, the onion and the garlic concentrate was very effective, even against species of bacteria that are drug resistant. So they decided that they needed to take it out of the in vitro situation in the petri dish, and they decided that they were going to go all the way with humans. The study enrolled 65 healthy older volunteers who lived in a nursing home, and they were aged more than 65. So they were all in that in that age group that often gets respiratory diseases, and often those respiratory issues turn into pneumonia. So it was a double-blinded, randomized, controlled study. It was 36 weeks during the month with the highest incidence of respiratory disease. from October to June. This was 2020 to June 2021. The volunteers were assigned to either take the placebo product or the onion and garlic product. Um, and they tested it out. So it was a longer study, 36 weeks. That's excellent. Every 28 days during the study, 14 clinical parameters related to illness were monitored: cough, fever, congestion, throat pain, headache, bone pain, fatigue, chest pain, difficulty breathing, loss of smell and taste, nausea, diarrhea, lack of appetite, sleeping problems. Moreover, medication intake and total illness were followed during the intervention. So the events, everything was analyzed, and it was pretty interesting. In all cases, the treatment group had a lower number of symptoms uh, compared to the control group, being statistically significant for cough, bone pain, fatigue, shortness of breath, and lack of appetite. In addition, it can be stated that the severity of these respiratory episodes were significantly lower, okay, in the treatment group versus the placebo group. It was a pretty remarkable outcome. And I laugh because we're just talking about onions and garlic. Yes, they concentrate them. Yes, they put them in a capsule so you don't have to taste it. Okay, we'll take it. There was really excellent antiviral activity against influenza, rhinoviruses, SARS-CoV-2. There was an inhibition of respiratory inflammation. The compounds demonstrated the ability to modulate the gut microbiome. And there was not only just an antimicrobial, antiviral activity, there was also anti-tumor activity that was quite surprising during the 36 weeks. So all of you, as I know summer's coming, but it's not as if any of this is going away. So you can increase your onion and garlic intake if you digest them fairly well. There are people who have allergies to the allium family. I feel bad for you. I really do. But you can also take garlic and onion combinations in capsules if you don't like the taste. It will come out your pores, but you know, small price to pay for really protecting your lungs and your life. Okay, so that's a fun headline. And my last headline today is Superalgae improves health so dramatically that they could revolutionize modern medicine. So chlorella and spirulina have been around for a long time. People in the natural products industry have been aware of it and have been using them for, I don't know, decades here in the United States. Um, but it's nice to see that there's more research and more support for microalgae. A recent study has found that microalgae, particularly spirulina and chlorella, have potential health benefits that could positively impact modern medicine due to their rich nutrient profile. So I really want to share this article with you. I think you'll all find it pretty interesting. Um, and uh, and I will say this, that some people tolerate microalgae very, very well, but some people don't. This study was is out of Tel Aviv, Israel, and they're starting to look at superfoods in the cosmetic and pharmaceutical channels, and so there has to be some balance also between, because these are grown either in the ocean or they're grown, in fresh water. Some blue algae are grown in fresh water, and you have to really monitor the environment, and you have to be careful of heavy metals, radioactivity, other things. There was a huge issue in Japan after the incident in Japan with chlorella, that they had growing fields in different parts of Japan. So, you have to be aware. You can't just go out and buy any old spirulina and chlorella But microalgae is really remarkable. These are marine plants that form the basis of coastal marine ecosystems. Algae absorbs carbon dioxide and releases oxygen into the environment. They clean the water, their food, habitat, and shelter for many species of fish and invertebrates. But algae produce a variety of very different bioactive compounds that are beneficial to humans. Red algae, there's a type of red algae, not all red algae. Some red algae is really toxic, but there's a type of red algae that has significant antiviral components that work strongly against HPV and um, VS1 and 2. They have incredible, they're an incredible ocean plant, if you will. They offer multiple types of minerals in different types of permutations. There's a lot of emphasis recently on trying to find more natural ways of increasing people's nutrition. So, algae are a great source of vitamins and minerals, iodine, iron, calcium, vitamin K, B12, all in much more assimilable forms because they're whole food forms. It's a very good source of iodine and tyrosine. So the thyroid requires iodine and tyrosine to function properly, and the thyroid gland has a very major impact on total metabolism, cellular metabolism, as well as endocrine metabolism. And when the thyroid's not working properly, it can lead to symptoms like fatigue, easy weight gain, muscle weakness, rapid weight loss, but muscle loss like atrophy. So, seaweeds such as chlorella and green blue algae and certain types of red seaweeds really offer that as a nutrition source. There's a lot of antioxidants in algae, like vitamin C, E, flavonoids, carotenoids. A lot of people say that seaweeds can help with weight loss because it's high in fiber, it can inhibit excess fat digestion. And the researchers believe that with all of this, algae can really improve your heart health. So, seaweeds contain omega-3 fatty acids and fibers that can really help reduce risk factors for heart disease. Um, it's um, it's really something that's been around a long time, and we're starting to see another resurgence for chlorella and spirulina and different kinds of seaweeds. And my recommendation for most people is try them as a food first. Add them to soups, crumble them up, sprinkle them on some food. See how you like the taste of them. They do taste like the ocean, some more than others, like dulse. And those, they're really, I find them to add a lot of that umami flavor to dishes, like regular dishes that you're making. And it is an acquired taste, but our palates will change with training. They do change with training. And a lot of people say, well, I don't like the taste of it. And try it for a while and you'll actually grow to like it. So you can train your palate to really like seaweeds, chlorella, spirulina, or you can just take them as a tablet or a capsule if you can't get used to the taste in them. They're really a worthwhile um, addition to supplements if you're taking supplements, or addition to your diet to get extra nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, especially support for overall metabolism. If you eat them as a whole food, they're really great sources of fiber. And for those of you who've been eating broccoli and eating kale and you're sick of it, try the seaweeds. You might really like them. Okay. So some of you might still be wondering who I am. At this point, you probably know, you've been following or you're in my practice and you get this podcast. Um, I've had a complementary and alternative health and herbal clinic, uh, part time, full time, but for more than 30 years. I've focused on difficult to treat conditions. I've also been a spokesperson and educator in the natural products industry for more than 25 years. I no longer do that. I'm in my practice full time now, and you can connect with me in person by going to my website, www.watersedgewellness.com, or by reaching out to me through social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. I'll be doing this podcast 2 times a month, and I'm sharing different kinds of perspectives of natural health and healing. I might be interviewing some key thought leaders and some very successful practitioners, and sharing their knowledgeable perspectives. And if you don't mind, please subscribe to and like my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok page. On TikTok, you'll see me under Herbal Answers. Please share our podcast with your friends and family if they're interested. And we're always open to comments and also what you might want to hear about. I always love to hear what people are interested in hearing about. And with that, I'll say take good care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.
Well, Super Sleuths, we've conducted a very thorough investigation of this case, and we've learned a lot. Fran, you can show us the way home now.
What are you doing?
Fran, you're amazing! We're home! Tune in again for the next Supplement Sleuth adventure. Take good care, and Fran and I will see you soon. Say goodbye, Fran.